Hey there. The title of this story from my father's book, Before Aspirin and Other Things, is titled Little Chickens. On my 10th birthday, a dear old aunt arranged to have a plump bantam hen with 10 fresh hatched chicks to give me as a present. I was indeed happily ecstatic over her thoughtful gift and eagerly looked forward after that to my lucky day each year. In the meantime, I nurtured my colorful feathered hens and her offspring with enthusiastic care. However, as time passed, I soon discovered that the bantam poultry, like sparrows, mature quickly and multiply even faster. Then, too, another year hurriedly rolled around, and new batches of cheeping balls of down had swelled my growing flock considerably. In short, my ever-increasing cock-a-doodle-doos and clucking assets began to weigh heavy upon me, and Dad warned unsympathetically, "Too many, son." Bantam chickens, or bannies, as we called them, are about half the size or maybe even less of ordinary domestic fowl. But what they lack in body weight is made up in sheer beauty, courage, and smart alecky cockiness, but lovely to look at and easy to adore. As rounded and cute, though, as the small hens were, they never wore the colorful plumage of their male counterpart, but their lovely feathers of somber shades and hues beheld an aesthetics all their own. By contrast, the rooster's attire was in fact pronounced and spectacular. Their raiment bore brilliant streaks, blotches, and sweeps of purple, green, chestnut, reds, oranges, all different colors, as if they just hopped out of a festive oriental painting. But despite their marked handsomeness and diminutive stature, they, by nature, were conceited, egotistical, feisty show-offs, and believed their crow to be mightier than the great Rhode Island Red King. These miniature uppity-ups did not walk and scratch and peck like common fowl. They strutted and pranced, tapped and nibbled as though they were the arbiters of chicken table manners and social behavior. And so my little chickens proliferated like the Hebrews in Egypt until I owned 88 of the stunted darlings. They crowed and clucked, laid tiny eggs, and paraded and flaunted themselves. Their radiant feathers flashed everywhere, in the garden, trees, the yard, road, front and back porches. They were lovely, happy birds, and I wanted hundreds. But Dad's notice wasn't to be taken lightly. On top of that, I overheard him tell Mama, "Those bannies are ruining the garden." Realizing my gorgeous dears were becoming a nuisance, I worried at what Dad might do if they continued making a chicken yard out of his garden. Mind you, I had seen him bring down many quail with his 12-gauge, and my insides got queasy when I imagined the air over his vegetable plot filled with zillions of tiny wafting feathers and little croaking bodies on the ground. Befuddled and anxious, I attempted every means to keep my petite gems out of Dad's rows of plants. Clipping their wingtips to prevent them from flying over the fence did not work. They simply squeezed through the narrow wire meshes. Making mock snakes out of hoses and old belts and laying them along with an aged coonskin on the soil had no effect either. They frolicked and feasted right beside their imitation predators. Every endeavor to shoo them from Dad's domain failed. For their own welfare, I finally put the word out, "Bannies for sale." It was then a country friend came to my rescue and told me he would swap 35 pigeons for my 88 plus bannies. Since pigeons were not garden molesters, Dad agreed wholeheartedly. So, in short order, a band of cooing birds replaced my bannies, and I promptly loved them as much. My brother helped me build a wire cage for my birds, but it wasn't large enough for flying fowl. Dad suggested turning them loose, and I suspect, hoping that they would fly away forever. In case they did, I tearfully said goodbye to my pigeons, and then I set them free. But to my rapt delight, they only moved to the kitchen roof, where the overhang of the higher shingles gave them shelter. Like my Banny adventure, I quickly learned that pigeons were more fruitful than chickens, and I before long possessed a numberless flock living over the kitchen and even extending above Mama's bedroom. My mother couldn't stand the birds' mournful cooing at night. She said it sounded like ghosts. But they continued to proliferate, and I was elated and loved the night sounds that they made. I still had some of them when I left for the Navy in World War II, but when I returned, they were all gone. I sort of let it go at that and made no inquiries. For those growing up years, though somewhat problematic at the time, I later discerned that such happenings as this demonstrated what God had in mind when He said He would open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that there shall not be room enough to receive it. That is found in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 10. But for me, those heightened material assets didn't shine as bright while watching my saintly aunt walking down the hill to our home, bearing in a small box a straw gift of 1 bantam hen and 10 peeping chicks. Her sweetness sparkled as a clear day when she gave her birthday boy his prize. Of course, the precious contents of her container were exuberantly accepted and cared for and grew until the excess was simply too much. My aunt was a cheerful giver, and her smile was that of an angel. By all accounts, God loves those who imparts to others ungrudgingly, and especially does He relish the sound of angel laughter coming from humans, because He Himself is a joyful provider, and He desires His people to be like Him and have full joy. Such is a lesson to practice. It returns remarkable dividends and underscores that paramount truth: give, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over, found in Luke chapter 6, verse 38. My aunt was a living testimony to that truth. So, why not give it a trial? Smile, laugh, be a cheerful giver. Learn of your Creator and see if He doesn't smile and laugh along with you and shower you with an overflow of the abundant life and well-being. Dum, da-dum, dum, dum. What a great story, encouraging us to be cheerful givers and enjoy the excess that God gives to us. Blessings this week.